This is Gun Crank.
Thank you. Well, we get lots of cards and letters, but we're going to ignore those and keep filming the Gun Cranks. Hey everybody, welcome to the newest episode of the Gun Cranks. I'm Guns Magazine editor Brent Wheat. I'm here with Tom McHale, the editor of American Handgunner, and you'll notice Tom is somewhere not in his normal studio, and our former boss, the affable Roy Huntington. So we've got a lot of great stuff tonight, and rather than belabor the point, let's just dive right in.
One more thing. I'm at Gunsite and you're not.
Fine. Cut that out, Sherry. Cut it out.
Hey everybody, welcome to Gun Cranks. Actually, this week it's Gunsite Cranks because we are coming to you from the world famous Gunsite Academy. Not only that, we are sitting on Colonel Cooper's porch of the sconce.
Bravo.
I know.
Bravo.
You may notice that only
cool.
one of us is fortunate enough to be here. Roy and Brent, hello.
Yeah.
We're not worthy.
We're not worthy.
Yeah, we're not worthy. We admit it. We're not worthy. Yeah.
But we get a fringe benefit this week because we have a special guest for the whole show. We have Gunsite Academy's training director, Dave Hartman.
Hey, nice to be here.
Dave, welcome
Bravo.
to the show.
Bravo, Dave!
Anyway, you get an ovation.
I know.
How about that?
I know those two malcontents.
Not bad. So we figured that that it would be appropriate to talk about training nightmares, worst training advice, questionable training decisions. Maybe
I know those people.
Yeah.
Wait.
Now listen,
They don't work
I
here.
learned everything I needed to learn about shooting and basic training.
That's it. And my grandpa, he done took me hunting, and I know all about guns.
Yeah.
But matter of fact, a couple weeks ago, I had a former Marine. He wanted to take our advanced carbine class. And I said, well, have you taken our regular carbine class? He goes, no, but I was in the Marine Corps. And I qualified with the M16A1. And I said, well, I qualified with the M16A1 45 expert every year. But the only thing the Marine Corps taught me to do was target shoot. That was it. I mean, the Marines do that really good. They take someone and teach them to be expert marksmen. But Gunsite was the place that taught me to fight with those implements. So that's kind of, we hear that all the time. Well, I've done X, Y, Z. I killed deer every year, but just because you bring home the venison doesn't mean you're capable of an armed confrontation or the combat mindset that goes with it.
Dave, how does that phone call go when somebody gets sent to you and they say, well, yeah, I've done this, that, and the other, and I should be in the 499 class because I'm just too advanced for all this other stuff. How do you break that news to them?
Well, I sit there and I roll my eyes as I'm on the phone with them, and I tell them, go on the Gunsite website, pull up all the instructor bios, read all those bios, and every one of us, no matter what we did, where we came from, years of experience on our craft carrying guns, we all started at the bottom just like everybody else. And none of us thought it was below us. It made me a better instructor. It made me realize I really didn't know what I didn't know.
Yep.
And if they come into that with that mindset, God bless them, they can go somewhere else.
Well, I have to tell you, you may roll your eyes on the phone, but when that conversation happens in person, you're actually very polite about it. I know this to be true because this happened to me.
Yep.
The first time I
Because he told you.
the first time I came to Gunsite, I don't know, we were trying to figure out when it was. It was years ago. And we're out on the range shooting, and I think it was Ed Head. You can have a little bit of a deadpan delivery when he wants to. I said, what class should I start with out here? And he goes, 250. And I said, well, I've been shooting quite a long time, and I do this for a living. He goes, 250. And I said, okay, so 250 is kind of the basic one, right? 250.
Yeah, but we call it the basic, but it's anything but basic.
Yeah.
I mean, it covers the whole gamut, including house clearing, night shoot, but that's our starting point. That puts everybody on the same page. And once again, if your attitude is you know it all, then you know what? Go hang out your own firearms training shingle. You'll get somebody.
Yeah.
And you know, why is it though that so many gun people have that attitude? And I'm sure it drives you up the wall there sometimes. You know, in other words, it's that know-it-all thing. I'm a guy. We already know everything about guns.
Guys are genetically predispositioned to understand gunfighting tactics.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
yeah. And how to fix cars.
What's that old saying? Yeah. Every man thinks he can paddle a canoe, hold his liquor, drive a stick shift, engage in interpersonal, close relations, and a lot of men can't do any of them, but we all seem to think we can.
Well, none of the millennials can drive a stick shift.
Well, which kind of leads us to worst training advice. I mean, there's some interesting training scenarios out there. I'd kind of like to throw it out to you guys. Worst training advice that we've heard.
Yeah, worst training advice.
Well, let's hear it. Let's hear it from the horse's mouth. There. What horror stories do you hear?
Worst training advice is, hey, they'll figure out how to do it when the time comes. Absolutely not. It's not going to happen. You're not going to figure out when your blood pressure is up, your beats per minute are 175. You have nothing to rely on. Or here, just point this gun in this direction, pull the trigger. No, it's not going to happen.
See, but here I thought that you could make up for a lack of skill and preparation with sheer desperation. Is that not true?
No, you're only going to rise to the level of training. That's it. That's it. If you have no reference for it.
Well, not if you read some of the training protocol at some of these classes. It's like show up and in 2 hours and 150 rounds, we're going to turn you into a gunfighter.
Well, I'll tell you one thing you'll never see at Gunsite, but I've personally seen, and I think you guys have too, is okay, student number 1, you take this target, you go stand down range, and student number 2, you demonstrate, 5 shots into the bullseye.
Oh, darn, they don't do that?
They don't.
To get acclimated,
Some
right?
still are. Yeah, it's to build confidence in your fellow students. I'm not that confident in anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrifying. I had a writer submit an article one time about that, and he actually conducted training that way, where they put people in a line down range, and then they had a rifle shooter weave in and out of the line as he was shooting at targets on either side. And I said, "Have you lost your mind? You think we're going to publish this?"
That's
good
awful.
Lord. Tell us some more horror stories.
Or the other one, the advice from as you alluded to earlier, the husband, been hunting all the time, goes out and buys a Smith & Wesson unobtainium scandium revolver and loading it with .357. Here, take this to the class. No, she's not going to take the class with this. You're going to take the class with that.
Okay, so how many rounds do you think somebody's going through in a 250 class?
At least about 1,100 rounds.
Okay, so let's see, 1,100 times 357 Magnum times 14-ounce gun, right?
Yeah.
What does that equate to? A hospital visit, maybe, I think.
Visit to a trauma center. Person's traumatized for
See, I think it's okay, though, if as you hand her the gun, you say, "Here, little lady, you'll like this." Yeah. Idiot.
Well,
do you actually ever have someone show up with a J frame, like to take a 250?
Every now and then. I've been on staff here 10 years. I've only issued 2 e-tickets, Golden Ravens, and one of those, the shooter showed up with a revolver shooting Magnum loads, and he performed flawlessly. I mean, it was a 3-inch GP 100. Sure, it wasn't a J frame, but I mean, he just aced the course. His speed loads were quicker than some of these guys with semi-autos. So that was one of the 2 Golden Ravens that I've ever issued. So.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. So somebody comes here for a week or a multi-day training class. What kind of gun should they bring? I mean, and what I mean by that is, if you have a small compact carry gun and you have something a little larger for home and recreation, would you rather teach them how to shoot a more comfortable gun well and transfer those skills, or would you rather than bring their carry piece?
No, start with the larger gun.
Yep.
Because like you said, those skills transpose to the smaller guns. Mm-hmm. It makes learning more conducive. They get a little bit more confidence out of it. Then they can come back and take a pocket pistol class or another class along those lines, right, with that gun. Me, I mean, I'm of the thought, the opinion, have a big gun, have a medium-sized gun of the same type, and a smaller gun. I mean, without going into the different families of guns, they all make, you know, large, medium, small,
Yep.
and cover all that, you know, cover the whole gamut. I mean, I'm usually daily with a full-size 1911,
Yep.
but if I go to town, then it's my lightweight Commander.
Right.
Okay, but there's always, you know, a J-frame somewhere on my body or close by.
How many J frames do you have in your body right now?
Just one.
So, quiet day here at
Yeah, very
Gunsite?
quiet
Okay,
day, yeah.
good. Okay, good. So,
You know, there was a good point in there that we kind of ran past. There's bad training advice or crazy training advice. Always pair husband and wife or couples together. That always works out really, really well.
Oh yeah, we know how that ends on the line. Yeah. Here when they show up,
do you put them on separate ranges?
different relays. And yes, actually once I put a lady on a separate range. We had two 250s going, double 250 going, and her husband was a little bit controlling, overpowering, and we separated them. She had a great time after that.
Yeah. I've seen that a lot. It's unfortunate. So, well, I'll tell you what. We're starting to run a little bit short on time, but I want to ask you for a couple of nuggets. You've been doing this a long time. I think you told me you've been here at Gunsite for 10 years.
Correct.
You've been the training director for about 5 years. Maybe two pieces of advice. One, let's start with new gun owner. We have 5 to 7 million new gun owners this year. What would you tell them? I mean, I know there's probably a lot, but if you had to pick out something.
Seek training, seek quality training, vet your instructor, have an open mind, stay away from YouTube, get good training in person.
Yeah, there's no substitute, right? Okay,
Correct.
so how about the person who's proficient, been shooting firearms all their life? They've had a handgun, rifle, you know, since the young age.
Answer A.
Same answer?
Seek quality training.
Yep.
And everybody wants to do it.
And watch Gun Crank.
There you go. Learn everything you need right there.
All right. Well, great, guys. Well, thank you very much. You're going to stay with us for a
Absolutely.
little bit more discussion.
Yeah,
We've
this
got
is fun.
some.
This is like a family reunion.
Well, I have to apologize in advance for these guys, but we'll get through it. So. All right.
You know, sometimes people are so funny because especially younger people, they say, "What are these funny round guns that I see at the range sometimes?" They're like, they don't have, you know, appropriate angles and things like that. And I always say, those would be revolvers. And what you need to do is find a guy that looks like me, and I promise you, he will let you shoot his revolver. And it will win you over to the dark side.
Roy,
So
I mean, that raises...
I throw it out on... let me throw it out on the table here. Is that are revolvers experiencing a comeback right now?
That was the question I was going to ask. Because we in the gun media tend to uncover things like John Moses Browning. Suddenly he's a genius yet again for the 450th time, or the next rehash of 45 versus 9mm, and now we're seeing a whole bunch of revolvers. And my personal opinion is they never went away. But Tom, you got a guest there that probably has a better finger on the pulse of what people are doing day to day than any of us.
I'm gonna ask him that, but I have to think that maybe it's because revolvers are going to be the only thing legal at the end of this year.
You know, there's a little bit about that, and that's the case. But you know, in
Just
the
kidding.
well,
sort of.
in the other segment, though, I was really interested to see that who was awarded the gold award there at Gunsite.
Yeah.
Tell us again.
Yeah, he was a long time student. He was a teacher back east. He had his own school. Been here numerous times. Came out, wanted to take 250 with a revolver, 3-inch GP 100, the good old Wiley Clapp edition, shooting Magnum loads. Aced every drill we had, par excellence. Was doing speed loads quicker than the guys with the revolvers. I mean, with the speed loader, with the semi-automatic semis. And I mean, he just aced every exercise. And he was the one, my first Golden Raven that I awarded to somebody.
Now, did I hear you admit just a second ago that you hired him? Is he an instructor here now?
No, I got a mix up. I'm sorry on that.
Okay.
But there was another guy here.
But he could be an instructor.
Revolver for excellence.
But so you guys, I mean, you guys see a lot of people come through here, right? And I assume you see a lot of fairly new gun owners. What have you seen any shifts, any trends changing with revolvers versus semi over the past year or so?
No, well, we're running revolver-specific classes.
Right.
We're running 250 revolver, 350 revolver, maybe next year 499 advanced revolver. But and I agree with Brent that the revolver's never gone out of play, and people are looking at them. And here on Gunsite, usually Friday is Revolver Friday, so the instructors wear some sort of revolver. It went from Python Friday to Revolver Friday, and a few months ago I remember wearing a 3-inch 625 and walking by, one of the students goes, "That's a revolver." He goes, "Isn't that a little old school? Aren't they not that efficient?" And I looked at him deadpan and said, "Well, let me shoot you with it." and it kind of shut him up. But
you know, it's funny. When I was in high school, we had football jersey Friday. You could wear a football jersey, but they didn't let us wear revolvers, which was I thought kind of odd.
That's too bad.
Well, they did at my school. You went to the wrong school. Well, you know, I think and you're right about it. I think just because somebody doesn't know about revolvers and they think they're archaic, that doesn't mean that you can't teach them, because I have spent a lot of time introducing to people revolvers right here, you know, outside my office door on the back porch. They bring some Glock or something by and they shoot it, and then I always say, "Here, let me show you this." And so I pull out a 4-inch Model 10 or something like that, put some wad cutters in it, they shoot and pop a balloon at 7 yards, and you see their eyes light up. And then I introduce them to the fact that there are still currently manufactured. There's a lot of new models coming out. And invariably, you almost always make a convert. And then usually what happens after that is a series of emails and phone calls and text messages with pictures of revolvers on manufacturers' websites saying, "What about this one? What do you think about this one? Is this one okay? Should I buy that?" So I always say yes. Yes, buy it.
You're like the crack dealer of the revolver world, Roy. Yeah, man, you need some more.
I am the crack dealer of the You know, so was it you, Brent? I think you said that we have to be aware of the fact that, especially in certain locations, that a revolver may be the only thing that you're allowed to own eventually. I don't want to see that day happen, but I think even if we want to think about that, then maybe it behooves everyone who's a shooter to at least get familiar with the platform. You know, I knew a trainer one time, and he said, you know, you should always train with every gun you can lay your hands on, because you just never know when you're going to have some battlefield pickup, you know, and you need to know how to make it run. And when I was a police officer and we had transitioned to autos, and years later, I actually responded to a couple of calls where people would say, "Hey, would you have the unit with Huntington come by?" And then I would show up and they had a revolver and they did not know how to make it safe. And Brent, you probably had. Yeah, no. I think anyone who's a cop during that transition period probably has similar stories where they pick it up and they hold it like it's some, you know, dog turd. And they go, "Well, I don't really know what to do with this, man. You know, can you show me?"
Okay, let me say it. So you walk up to the lieutenant and go, "Let me have the gun, Lieutenant."
Yeah, let me have the gun, Lieutenant.
Let me ask you guys a question. I started off as a Smith & Wesson Model 15. We went in service, 6 in the gun, 12 in speed loaders. You know, our shooting.
Wait. Speed loaders? You had speed loaders?
We were advanced up there in Orange County. Yeah, but our hit potential with those revolvers, it wasn't spray and pray. I remember when we were doing our transition courses, our scores with the semi-autos went down significantly. I mean,
because you had more ammo.
More ammo.
Yeah.
Yeah, they always did. I remember going in the field like you with 18 rounds, and for some reason I felt perfectly safe. I may actually feel safe today. You know, I mean, if I was driving a police car, I had 18 rounds on my belt, I probably would not feel unsafe. I wouldn't mind a box of ammo in the trunk just in case everything went to poo. But no, I agree with you completely. You know, we had a guy. I was a reserve in Chula Vista PD in the middle '70s, and we had an old guy who had been there. And I was a range instructor, and so we were swapping ammunition. You know how you shoot your duty ammunition, and so I had him drop his dump pouches, and out plopped 2 aluminum foil wrapped, packages. And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "Well, that's my ammunition, because if I don't wrap it in aluminum foil, it turns green."
Wow.
True story. I was there. So don't be that revolver shooter, okay, boys and girls?
Well, you have to take the foil off before you load it, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
That's something we've never talked about,
funny.
and I'm old enough. I was probably the last, group of folks. My very first issue, Model 19 with dump pouches, and then, quickly we got speed loaders. But that's one piece of gear I don't see ever coming back, was the dump pouch. That was, I guess it was better than a pocket full of ammo, but not much.
Well, the best thing about dump pouches is there was a kind that if you unsnapped them, they would sort of fall forward. And so, of course, all we ever did was when you're walking down the hallway, you reach out and you flip the snap off, and all his ammo would go on the floor. Of course, then they would stop and look down and look at you and look down again. So, but look, we veered off there. But I think if people don't realize that revolvers are still popular, are still superior fighting instruments, and are still arguably more reliable than many of your average auto pistols, although the crop we have today is excellent. But still, I think if your gun that you have is a revolver, you should not feel that you're ill-prepared. Just learn how to shoot it. Buy a case of ammo, go to Gunsite, and I think it's fun. It's a bit like driving a 30s Ford, but you'll find that it can go 65 on the freeway, just like everybody else can. So,
well, I have to tell you, there's something to be said for learning a trigger with a revolver, a good double-action revolver.
Yep. If you learn to stage a double-action revolver trigger, then there's not a gun in the world that you can't shoot well after that. Am I right, gentlemen?
You're 100% correct.
Am I right? Yeah. If you can, I'll tell you what, some old PPC shooter like me, like other people we know, and we cut our teeth shooting double-action revolvers at 50 yards, don't try to shoot against them, because they will kick your butt. So, all right, hey, have we beat this to death, you guys?
I don't think you could ever beat this to death, but we'll stop there.
No. Probably not. So, all right. Let's revisit this, though, at another Cranks. I think it's a lot of fun.
Well, gentlemen, let's talk about something near and dear to all of our hearts, and is very important to the firearms community: gun bunnies. we love to hate them. We hate to love them. Gun bunnies. Now, for the 3 people in the world that don't know what a gun bunny is, it's a attractive female who is accentuating her natural assets in an effort to stand out above the crowd. So typically it involves little to no clothing and provocative poses. And okay, I'm a guy, I'm a normal red-blooded American guy, and I enjoy seeing attractive women. That's my personal choice there. But we got to admit, in this day and age, maybe that's not the best way we need to be portraying our industry, but gun bunnyism is rampant. But I thought this would be an interesting discussion also if we brought in Roy's special guest, the lovely Miss Susie. Roy, who is that?
Gun bunny.
Oh, I didn't call you that.
No, I don't know that.
Thinking it.
Yeah, I don't know that you've ever been accused of being a gun bunny.
I thought
so.
we were talking. Hold on, we were talking trivia. Who was the original gun bunny?
I thought it was Susie.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, no!
Yeah.
He's only saying that because he's 2,000 miles away. Is what
Exactly.
It is. So, well, this is.
We're safe from the long arm of the law here.
Yeah, except for my yearly trip through Joplin.
Howdy.
She'll ambush me.
Well,
No, it's
Well, let
true.
me say,
well, you know,
we've been scared
go ahead.
what Susie's going to say because Susie speaks her mind. But I think I'll boil this down and then turn Susie loose on it. I think the problem we have with this is just the idea that, you know, nothing wrong with being an attractive woman, nothing wrong with shooting as an attractive woman, but it's the whole, I want to be taken seriously as a shooter and a competitor, and hey, take a gander at these babies. Okay, there's a disconnect. It kind of cheapens what's going on. So, what do you think,
I don't see them there. I'm
Susie?
trying to look for them.
No, you know, if you don't mind, Susie, let me just say something really briefly here. Is Susie brings a 24-year law enforcement career, almost 30 years in the industry with me. Editor of American Cop magazine. She's hunted around the world, and so it's not like she's just somebody who doesn't have some experience in this. And so on that, I'm going to give the platform to Susie because I know
he knows what's good for him.
Yeah, I know what's good for me, but yeah, because we've talked about this whole gun bunny thing ever since 30 years ago at the SHOT Show when they had the booth babes. You guys might remember those. So, well, Susie, what sticks in your craw about this?
A lot, actually. It's just typical boy-girl things, you know. Talk to the face, not to the girls. And if you're presenting the girls with a gun in your hand, it doesn't work. I don't know. I think there's better ways to present yourself as a female shooter than to have everybody looking at the boobs. It's not safe either. I don't know how many of these girls have ever gotten hot brass down their shirt. It hurts.
That's what I
know
always
what you
wondered.
mean.
There's a lot of area
Yeah,
there,
we get that
especially
here
on
all the
some.
Well, you know, it's like when you see the pouty-lipped Instagram shooter gun bunnies, and I mean, I understand it's her
Instagram.
Yeah, it's her business, and if she's got it, flaunt it if you want to and stuff. But just don't be surprised then if some people don't take you very seriously, and that I mean, to me, I see serious female competitors really don't ever portray themselves as gun bunnies. You know, there are sort of, you know, competitor gun bunny types I see, but the ones who consistently win and who are top level competitors, I'm sorry, but they're not gun bunnies. Susie, what do you think about that? Yeah.
Gun bunny shooters actually are pretty linear. You know, they get into one avenue of shooting, but they don't have a well-rounded breadth of knowledge.
I wasn't sure what she said. Breadth.
Oh yeah, breath
of knowledge.
Yeah.
No, look at people like Michalak's wife,
Yeah.
Diana Lederoff, and
Kim Rohde.
Kim Rohde.
I mean, you know, the list
Sherry
is
Legate.
long.
Yes.
And
There you go.
Sherry Legate.
Legate.
Our own Sherry Legate, a championship shotgunner. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you want to shoot and you want to be taken seriously, put the girls away.
I saw one the other day, and it was some girl that was like dressed in a negligee, and she was standing on her kitchen counter looking at a plant up on top of the cabinets, and she was holding an AR-15. And I thought, I really don't understand what this is about. And if you're trying to have me take you seriously, are you going to tell me some training thing now or something? I don't know.
Roy, just stop. You're old school, man. That is tactical gardening, okay? Come on.
There it
Deal
is.
with the
See, silly me.
program.
What do I know? You know.
Watering
now-
for AR-15.
But now I want to flip the script on Susie. Okay, we've been talking about female gun bunnies and showing the girls and all that. But what about male gun bunnies like Tom McHale? I mean, does that reach out and grab women? Or you never see it.
Oh. Whoa.
Do we need to go? Don't we have that
I
photo
don't
shoot coming
know.
up out here?
Yeah, we're going to go out in the
Maybe-
back 40, back 400 acres, me and you.
I got a photo
You
shoot,
and Dave
guys.
oiled
Gotta
up.
run.
That's what we need.
Maybe this segment is over. Did you guys get that? I think I sent you that male gun bunny picture.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Oh, yes.
hysterical. It was this studly guy with, like, you know, shorty shorts on and showing his midriff, and he was posing holding a hand grenade with a limp wrist, but it was the epitome of everything that we're talking about, and for some reason we laugh hysterically at him.
That guy is brilliant.
So then why is it okay?
That was trolling level 1000. I want
brilliant.
to buy him a beer.
Yes.
That was perfect.
Yes, I do too.
Perfect.
I think there's a whole, like, a calendar of those kind of guys. It's hard to look at, though, you know.
We got a comment from the peanut gallery here. I think we have a gun bunny with us, as a matter of fact, here today.
Oh, we do.
Seriously?
And I'm about to get smacked.
Serious?
Our
Finally
producer.
got her on camera, our producer.
Easter's on the way.
I just have to put in my 2 cents here because you know what? I think you guys are being really nice. I am much harder on gun bunnies than you guys are. Okay, I get it. I get it that sex sells. Okay.
Where?
Well, not. All right. Let's face it. With you guys, maybe not so much. But you know what? They're trying to sell guns, and that's okay. You want to use sex to sell a gun. You want to use a beautiful, stunning woman in a hard body to sell a gun. Go ahead and do that. But don't let that woman pretend that she's a serious shooter or a serious journalist, because she's not. Just,
There you have it.
Well, there you go. Yep. I guess this segment's over.
It's actually a really good point, because I know of, and I won't drop names, but I know of a particular gal who there was some sort of a sexual harassment issue, and nobody was forcing her to expose herself and be the gun bunny and shoot in her Daisy Dukes and halter top. And then suddenly she wanted to be taken seriously, and therein lies the rub, because you haven't presented yourself.
That's right. I remember that.
Presented yourself as a sex symbol.
I remember that when that happened.
Well,
You either are.
I think it's. Well, I think at many levels it's a disservice to all shooters, to the industry and whatnot, because someone who's not well versed in our culture, they're outside of this, and then so they see something like that and they go, well, what is that all about? Why should we take these people seriously? Look what they're doing. You know, it's like a living video
Charlie's
game.
Angels. You know? That's what it is.
Are we going to learn that this week?
The High Sabrina.
Sabrina.
They call that High
Okay,
Sabrina.
good.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is, you know what?
You're right.
You want to use sex to sell a gun? Feel free. You want to sell sex to sell ammunition? Go ahead. Okay, because I get that. I mean, sex does sell.
Just be real about it.
But just be real about it. And I got to go back behind the camera now. Bye.
Well, thank you, Sherry.
Wow. I have a
I promise I'm not taking my shirt off right now. Sorry.
I have an awkward gun bunny story. This was kind of funny. A couple years ago, I was at an event, and we were all on the shuttle bus from the airport to the hotel where this was all going on, and we're all chatting, and a lot of us know each other, but there's always people you don't know. And there's a guy and an attractive gal sitting across from me, and, oh, who do you write for, or what do you do? And, well, you know, I'm a blah, 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 and I'm her manager. And I thought, okay. She's a shooting model. I thought, okay, that's fine. He handed me, unsolicited, just handed me a portfolio and said, this is some of her work. And about the third page in, I'm like, do I have to pay you for this? Or can I have this later maybe? She was a healthy young lady, let me tell you that. But it was just the most awkward moment, because I'm like, well, I've seen a lot more of you than I ever anticipated I would see of you. And I think even some models for Playboy would probably be going, girl, put some clothes on. That's something there. You're going.
Did you have a cigar afterwards?
I needed a towel or a moist towelette.
Did you even see the guns?
I saw both
Yeah.
of them.
The guns.
Or no,
Did
there
you
was
even
3
see the
guns.
gun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. Well, you know, we used to have a booth at the SHOT Show years ago, and there was an adjoining manufacturer, and they brought in Hooters girls. And they were in the booth. They were booth babes, and they were Hooter girls. Well, we had a really good time, because what we did was people would go by, they would look in the booth, they would look at the girls, and then I would call them over, right? I'd say, hey, how you doing? Hey, Roy Huntington, American Handgunner Magazine. Cool. Hey, what are they selling in that booth over there?
I don't know.
And they never knew what was being sold. You know?
Wings.
Hamburgers?
Yeah. hamburgers,
Buffalo wings?
wings and
Certainly
things.
getting hooter, I mean, hotter in here.
Yeah. And so I think it's, it's the distraction. And now some people can, I think, do it pretty well. The Blue Press, Mike Dillon there introduced very attractive women who were dressed and as sort of showing the, the reloading equipment and stuff like that. And in that sense, what Brent said is like, you're turning a page and you see a Dillon Press ad and it's got a pretty girl, you stop and you look. Except you also looked at the products.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked a lot about that to people, but when you get the, the kind of vampy kind of thing going on there, it's like you just look at it and it reflects poorly on I think on the manufacturer. That's just my opinion. Susie, what do you think?
It's a slippery slope. It's the same mentality that strippers use to say, well, women's lib. By virtue of being a stripper, am in control of all these men, $1 at a time.
I wondered where that was going.
Yeah.
Get you every time.
Wow.
That's a bold strategy.
So we now know exactly how Susie feels about this. So.
I think
I would say we definitely have to revisit this topic.
I was going to say,
day.
I think we've just revealed a very important truth about life and about how women feel about us. So, gentlemen, we're all embarrassed, humiliated, destroyed. And we're going to tear our man cards up. So I think this discussion of gun bunnies needs to be continued later on. But for now, I think we've covered all of those supple, wonderful, delicious bases.
All I know, though, is that when I go to the SHOT Show, on the next SHOT Show, I'm bringing a bunch of $1 bills with me in case there's some booth babes.
With Tom McHale's picture on them.
I know, I'm going to rot in hell. Yeah, all right. Bye, Mom. Yeah, thanks, Susie. Yeah.
Well, it's been another great episode of the Gun Cranks. And Tom, I know there's some people you need to thank.
Yeah, I'd like to give a special thanks to the good folks at Gunsite Academy for hosting us here in this beautiful place. And I would especially like to thank Training Director Dave Hartman for joining us on today's show.
And Roy, you've got somebody you need to thank?
Absolutely.
You better thank.
We had a spirited discussion about gun bunnies, and as is usually the case, Susie was not at a loss for words. So thanks, Susie, and I think we need to have her back on again.
Absolutely.
Agreed. Well, yep. Check us out on our own channel on YouTube, The Gun Cranks. And while you're at it, make sure you check out gunsmagazine.com and AmericanHandgunner.com and AmericanCop.com. We'd also really appreciate it if you would share the love, share the gospel of The Gun Cranks, and share some information on your own social media channels, because we're trying to build word of mouth, because our corporate overlords, they hate us. So let's keep poking them right in the eye and spread the Second Amendment and the fun of shooting. So anyway, it's been great. We'll have another episode for you here in a couple of weeks after we recover from this. And on behalf of Tom McHale at the beautiful Gunsite Training Academy and Roy Huntington from his bunker in the deepest woods of Missouri, I'm Guns Magazine editor Brent Weed. Take it easy, guys.